Hi, my name is Stanza. I'm the AHRC Fellow at Goldsmiths College, and I've got a project called the Emergent City, analysing data from within city space using various technologies including wireless sensor modes and CCTV to make artworks. Under this umbrella title is a number of artworks: Sensity, House and Gallery. All of these projects have one thing in common: they use wireless sensor technologies to gather data from across networks to reinterpret this data into various forms of outputs. As an artist, I gather assets, data, I make visualizations, and I think of ways to display this technology. This presentation will focus on the work Sensity. As you know, a city is a web of connected networks. In essence, the city is a giant multi-user, multi-data sphere. The city is made up of traffic patterns, pedestrian patterns, and bird flocking patterns. Patterns can be seen in the architecture, patterns can be seen in the buildings. Closer inside the city, we have the micro patterns, life cycles of the atomized. All of these spheres can be represented by media and therefore by data within the digital realm. And all of this data can be interpreted and mediated. It becomes a matter of choice. Cities offer the opportunity for unique types of data gathering experiences via a variety of sources. My objective is to mediate data into conceptual artifacts. Within this perspective, there are many unimagined threads of data and connections that describe our world, that can be explored through wireless mobile networks, within which we can create artistic interpretations. Sensity artworks are made from the data that is collected across the urban environmental infrastructure. I have a network of sensors which collects this data, and it's then published online. The sensors interpret the micro data of the interactive city, and the output from the sensors display the emotional state of the city online. From this information, it can also be used to create installations and sculptural artifacts. These artworks represent the movement of people, pollution in the air, and the vibrations and sounds of the city. The sensor network can be moved from urban to rural settings, and different types of visualizations can be made depending on the environment. So far, Sensity has been presented in Paris, Copenhagen, Sao Paulo, and I've made several versions in London. Sensity is also a highly technical project that gives vast amounts of information about the fabric of our cities. By embedding these sensors like this, we can re-engage within the urban fabric and enable new artistic metaphors within city space. The sensors are positioned across the city. Custom-made software enables these sensors to communicate with one another in a network over a proxy server in real time. The interfaces online are all real-time interpretations of a city space, in this case, Sao Paulo. The data can also be used to create creative visualizations in an open source environment. The data is placed online via a remote proxy server that's been written, and other academics, researchers and artists can link to this data to make their own artworks and interfaces. Temperature data, light information, sound and noise sensors all create this data. It can be reworked to create various outputs. Here's an example of the output of Sensity on a 3D display globe. I have two separate sensor kits using modes. Modes are used to collect the data. This is an image of one on the screen. The modes are tiny wireless sensor boards that gather the data and communicate with a central server. The real world is monitored and surveyed, and the data stored in my archive retrieval system. Modes and sensor boards sense the micro incidents of change, for example, in the weather, noise, traffic patterns. In this case, they're monitoring temperature, light, humidity, and an additional sensor network has GPS attached. So we need to imagine the city at a different scale. The possibility is to extend our imagination and enable that perception of the city as a dynamic network. I am putting systems in place that can re-employ this perception and thus create new understandings of how this behaviour unfolds. There are patterns, they are connected, and the systems that evolve can be simulated and acted upon. We can influence the process and the system, and we can create variables into this system that allows understanding of the byproducts of this system, the data, and the resulting information. I've been to Paris, Sao Paulo, London and Copenhagen to retrieve these data sets. This is an example of a merged future city. The data is the medium. Future cities will be merged real-time, connected up cities. Sensity connects up networks of real-time information flows. The result will become mashed up cities and real-time performative city mashings using the XML formatting shown previously. The shared data space can overlap, and there is now a space, the space in between, that only the two nodes share. The aestheticization of the shared city space. I have merged collected data from various cities. To recap on the technology, I now have several sensor kits. Both of them have 20 nodes. Some of the sensors can be placed up to 300 meters apart across the city. One has GPS. I've also made two versions of the Sensity interface software. One works with recorded data, and this is key. The other works in real time, which means that the sensors are always switched on and always working through a router. The changing data is what affects, and it's what you see and experience. This is another project called Gallery that uses the technology that I've developed. The gallery, in this case, is made public using this wireless sensor network. I've used the technology from Sensity, the wireless sensor network, to visualize an art gallery. The gallery laid bare as a work of art. The gallery proposes that the data is art. The art is a real-time flow of things around us that allow our senses to invoke understanding. The gallery space becomes the art described by the shifts in light, temperature and noises in the space over time. In essence, gallery is also a surveillance system. I live in South London. This is a real-time online visualization of my house using wireless technology. It's a real-time online interface connecting my house with the real world. House is not a mute memorial of a related past object, but an embodiment of change and renewal. In this case, house describes the space, a real Victorian terraced house that I live in. The private interior is being made public as this data from the sensor network unfolds. It describes the inherent properties of the space, creating an online artwork. Eventually, a network of environments and pods can all be connected to show a global space, a global world of data. All houses and all cities can be connected in this way. Thanks very much. This work is online at stanza.co.uk. You've seen the presentation Sensity, House and Gallery.